Alright, I caught the first couple of seconds of this guy and I like where he's going. Check this out. He comes in jumping in Flash.
Hey everybody,
Pac-Man,
welcome
Cough Cup.
back to the channel. Thank you so much once again joining me for tea time. What do you think about that? A little tea time mug. Today we have a little bit of fireside.
I like it.
Love that smokiness of the lap zone, guys. I hope you're joining me with your cup of tea, maybe a cup of coffee, hanging out, talking photo, talking video, talking tech. Today is a Starlink day. So, I guess it's a tech day. Today's kind of an interesting one because I was reading a bunch of articles of what's going on over there with Elon Musk's Starlink service. And is it getting better? Is it getting worse? What's the reliability like? What is the speed like? And whatnot. And I want to get into it a little bit with you and give you an idea of where Starlink is going in comparison to the competition. And where is it going in comparison to terrestrial type of service, like your fiber service that you can get, or let's call it thick copper, as I call it, Comcast or whatnot. So we're going to get into this a little bit, and I want to get your thoughts for the end of this video, maybe down in the comment area. Let's have this discussion. I absolutely love what's going on over there at Starlink. I think they're doing a really great job. Is it perfect? No. Is there a lot of stuff that they need to work on? Yes. Especially when it comes to customer service. I'm not a fan of customer service. They need to work on that. Anyways, let's get into some of the speeds. But before we do, I want to say that if you haven't downloaded any of my ebooks as of yet, go check them out. Go over to jcristina.com/books. Once again, jcristina.com/books. Get them free just for being here. Go check them out. Anyways, Gigabit Starlink version 1.5, version 2.0 satellites. What is going on with them? What is also going on with their ISL, or their intersatellite links, or intersatellite lasers, which can possibly push the boundaries of what is currently going on, according to
I'll tell you the same thing I tell everybody
just recently, a couple of days ago. And I want to talk about
here's
that.
Where I'll
but
kill
before we get into this, I want to
crazy stuff,
tell you what is going on with the speed. Now, we all know of the internet speed testing site, speedtest.net. They're run by Ookla, I believe it is. They are like the purveyor of internet speed knowledge, right? They're constantly doing speed tests from all different servers all over the country and world, and gathering data. Now, they don't keep any of your personal data, but what they do is they check what your IP address is, and then where that IP address is associated to. For example, mine is currently in Georgia. Why that is, I don't even want to get into it. It should be here in Miami because we have a Starlink POP right out of Miami, but for some reason I am currently attached to the POP in Georgia, which is 700 miles away in comparison to 70 miles away.
Take generals or...
Anyways, either which way, if you look up my IP address, it is associated with Georgia, which is fine. As of right now, our tests are getting anywhere from about 100 to 180 megabits per second on the down speed, and on the up speed, we're ranging between 9 or 10 megabits up to about 20, 21 megabits up. And it really varies. Once again, this is satellite service. Even though it's LEO service, low Earth orbiting satellite type of service, you have lower latency, it's still a satellite service. So if there's any type of obstructions, we had a severe storm the other day, and during the storm we had no service. That's just simply how it is, and that's how it's going to be until they get antennas that are stronger and stronger and stronger that can actually bust through those clouds. Until then, we have what we have. Now, the speeds, what Ookla has shown is that during October, November, and December of last year, they accumulated all those, let's say, 90 days of data, and they made it public. And what they have found is that the Starlink service itself has actually been getting faster. This is really great in comparison to, for example, like a Viasat or a Hughes network. Now, Viasat and Hughes network are sitting right around 20 to 21 megabits per second, whereas we're seeing an average or a mean of Starlink of about 105 megabits per second. That is a major disparity between the two. Now, the FCC does designate broadband internet as speeds that are over 25 megabits per second. So technically, Viasat as well as Hughes Network aren't even considered
And
by
yet
the
all of it
FCC
is,
as broadband
and it
internet.
beautifully is.
Whereas,
Because
for
this
sure, Elon Musk Starlink is, which is
quantitative
about
tightening,
4 times
well, it
the speed
does
that it needs to be.
tighten it
Now,
very
it is,
much
once
so.
again,
It
getting
also
faster.
quantifies
But what
it
we
in
have
this
noticed
logarithm
also
I
by
know.
this data is
There's
that
still both of them.
the speeds vary
Photons,
by
gluons,
region.
W
Down
goes
here
on
in Florida,
quarks,
our average speeds are
leptons,
right around
neutrinos,
200
well,
megabits per
banging
second,
around out here.
whereas folks over in Oregon, for example,
Before we
are
get into
right
the
around
computer
65
program,
megabits.
the rocket
So,
ship,
what
which
does
is the
that all
physics,
have
but
to
I'm
do with? Is it the satellites that are the
What about
problem, or
Hemisphere?
is
Here we go.
it
We
the
got one right here.
terrestrial issue?
Like
And I
that
do
girl.
think that it is a terrestrial
What
issue.
everybody does here
Because,
is brick row,
bear in mind,
brick and
when
dryer,
data
pens row.
is
But to
requested
do it
by
in
our
front of the
Starlink,
board, to
for
really
example, if
see
I
a
was doing a
seventh,
Google search, what happens is the data goes
E7
from my
sergeant, first
computer
sergeant,
to the router, to the dish,
that becomes the
up
bunny,
to a satellite,
right?
from the
That's
satellite
line of
back
sight.
down to a ground
Otherwise,
station.
never
That ground
happened.
station then fires
Didn't
it off
happen
to
for
a
you.
pop. Now,
Rockets,
my ground station is very close to me, but my pop, once again, is in Georgia, so it has to fire it off 700 miles.
This
This is fiber, so it's going the speed of light, but there is slowdown and congestion. So once it gets to that pop, then that pop requests the data from Google. Google sends it back to the pop sends it back to the ground station fires it back up to the satellite, and the satellite fires it back down to me. As of recently, things have changed or are getting close to changing. Version 1.0 of these satellites did not have lasers on board, but versions 1.5 and
that the limit to this is 42 seconds on glass.
What does this mean? What this means is that the satellites can now communicate from satellite to satellite in comparison to having to have a ground station immediately underneath them to fire that information down.
If there was anything into it, the local clock to the world clock,
major
maybe we'd set you up on a pattern that
because
would
now
phase operated
Starlink
to
will be able to keep that data in the air longer. Meaning that each one of these Starlink satellites will become like a NOC, like a network operations center, where a lot of traffic will happen on the satellite itself, inter-satellite, ISL, as they call it. And if we go over to Starlink.sx, bear in mind this is not like sanctioned by or affiliated with Starlink. So the data is more informational. Is it perfect? No, but it's pretty damn good. I've been looking at this data for quite some time, and they do a really good job of putting this together. Now, let me just show you something that is interesting. Just to give you a little background of what you're seeing here. This is me down here in this little green dot. Now, each one of these purple triangles are pops, or point of presence. And each one of these yellow dots, let's get in here a little tighter. There's one down here in Fort Lauderdale. There's one here in Punta Gorda. Those are ground stations. If we back up a little bit, this green triangle, it is my pop. It is the pop that I'm currently associated with. That means that the IP address that I currently have is an IP address that's out of this network in Atlanta, Georgia.
You pay me money. You pay me a lot.
So if we dig in a little bit deeper here, we can see a satellite coming by me right now. And supposedly it is attached to me. And as this satellite goes by, you can see it has now made a connection with Punta Gorda. That means that any data going to the satellite is going to go through this specific ground station. And as this goes by further, it will now, as you can see, now attached itself to this ground station, which is in Fort Lauderdale. We're still doing communications between this satellite and myself, but it is now going through this ground station.
You got an animal in
so
there.
This is how the system works. Now, what about if we were up here in Canada, for example, and there's no ground station besides ground stations in the U.S.? How is Elon pushing the boundaries further out and also increasing speeds? So if we look at this, we can see that there's satellites that are going through Canada right now, and they're bouncing back to these ground stations that are in the U.S. That's fine. Well, what happens if we need to cover further out? Once again, pushing the boundaries, getting them further and further away from these pops. Well, what they do then is they connect satellite by satellite. We can see a satellite right here and another one right here, and there's a blue dotted line that's connecting them. If we dig in here a little bit, we can see it is a version 1.5. That means that it has lasers on board, communication lasers. So if we back out a little bit, we can see that it's also connected to a satellite right here. And this satellite is in the middle of the ocean. Now, what's great about this is there's no pop in this location, right? But if you were on a boat right about here in the middle of the ocean, you would be able to then access this satellite here. And as you can see, it says ISL linked. You could connect to this satellite, and then this satellite would bounce that data or that request to here, and then back down to this ground station. So once again, this is going to give us the ability to be further and further away from pops, and also allow for there to be less pops, because you don't need as many. You just need really robust pops. But the data can be then bounced from satellite to satellite to satellite at the speed of light, and then down to a ground station, which is the closest ground station to that location. So this is really something major. This is really big. Now, this is the satellite that we were looking at before. Now, if we look at it now, it no longer says ISL or intersatellite linked, right? Why is that? Because this satellite is now linked to this ground station in Alaska. And the same thing holds true with all of these. We can see that this is ISL linked. But as soon as it gets close to a ground station, probably right around this area, it will no longer say linked through ISL. The reason being is it will be then linked to this ground station right up here. So if we move out of the United States and go into Europe, where there's a lot less coverage, you can see a lot of these lines, these blue lines, where these satellites are connected, ISL or intersatellite linked. What this means is, if we are currently in Libya, there is a bird flying overhead, but this bird is a 1.0. What that means is it does not have lasers built on board. It is not linked. But if we look at this satellite that's coming by right now, this is a version 1.5. So if you were in Libya, for example, and there was service available in the location, you would be able to access this satellite right here. And it would bounce your request all the way to a satellite up here, maybe in Spain, and then from that satellite down to this ground station right here, or this pop. As you can see, it says pop number 2 here. So this satellite here is connected to the satellite that's flying through Libya. So it can definitely be used. Now, is it allowed to be used? Are they using it? Well, that's a different story. As this grid grows, we're going to see coverage in very remote areas, because they're going to not need ground stations in those areas at all. They're going to bounce and relay the data from satellite to satellite to satellite, once again, at the speed of light. Now, just recently, Elon Musk said the version 2.0s are right around the corner. Now, those version 2.0s are going to be much faster than the 1.5s that are currently out there that do have lasers on board. Now, these 2.0s, according to Elon, will provide almost a full order of magnitude more capacity or capability with these satellites. That is crazy. So if right now, for example, each one of these satellites would be able to handle 100 people per satellite at any given time, we're looking at almost an order of magnitude more. So we're looking at about 1,000 people. If they can currently handle 1,000 people, you're looking at 10,000 people. So it is massive. And if speeds were also able to increase at this order of magnitude, we're looking at speeds of, let's say, a mean